He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora whānau, just a heads up before we get into it. This episode of Orators Anonymous contains mature themes and some spicy language, so listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Orators Anonymous, a new Māori Pacifica queer-coded podcast brought to you by Whike Fortress Gallery, streamed weekly on Twitch channel Rev TV. Hosted by Coco, Manu and Mush, Orators Anonymous is made with the support of the Arts and Culture Podcast Co-Fund, a partnership initiative between Creative New Zealand, New Zealand On Air and Radio New Zealand. The theme this week, Te wā, te wā, yada yada. Time travel, time bending, time dilation. For the final OA episode, the team also reflects on their time together.
Welcome back.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā iwi, e ngā hau e whai, e rauranga tirama, tihei mauri ora, nau mai haere mai, anō, ki te kaupapa, ki te hōtaka, the last one, nau mai haere mai ki te whare haumaru o te whike ki maunga kia ki tamaki makaurau, I tēnei pō. Greetings, precious, precious streamers, listeners, viewers, and whānau out there. Welcome to the final episode of Orators Anonymous, Season 1, beaming to you from Whike Fortress in Onehunga and Revolution TV on Twitch. Almighty paki paki. I am one of your three hosts, Coco. I'm joined, as always, by my precious girlies, Mushi and Manu and Remy, your Twitchboard switchboard producer. Tonight our thematic kaupapa is, I just want to say it's pretty loose, but te wā, te wā, yada yada. Time travel, time bending, time dilation. And because it's our final episode and we're feeling a bit mawhana, a bit sentimental, we're going to reflect on the time that we've shared together, period.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Before we begin, I'm going to make Mush read out our legal disclaimers one final time.
One final time. Okay. The views and opinions expressed during this live stream are the views of Orators Anonymous alone and do not represent any affiliated organization. Content and critique is presented for entertainment and informational purposes only. Also, to our own communities, we do not claim to be cultural authorities. The information shared is for storytelling and educational purposes only. Interpretations are offered in good faith and should not be taken as definitive or authoritative.
Yeah, you heard that?
Malo, thank you so much.
Love you.
For those joining us for the first time, Orators Anonymous is a podcast for our Māori Pacifica queer fam and Aotearoa, Indigenous misfits and insufferable bookworms across the Pacific and around the world. And I'm so glad that we're all together to be spamming and emoting through this strange and uncertain time.
Strange and uncertain time, girls.
Speaking of time, let's get into the thematic kaupapa of the evening.
Yeah.
Time. Te wā, te wā. Island time.
Yeah.
Time machines.
That's
time
it.
as a living, breathing, sentient thing.
That's it.
So we're looking to be excavating some of our ideas around it. How do you experience time?
How do you?
How's it been? I mean, we've established it's been in the bin.
Awful.
But let's kick off on a nice, light, casual note by asking Mush.
Yeah.
Tell me about retrocausality.
Retrocausality. Retrocausality is, probably my new obsession. And so we all understand time to be kind of a state of cause and effect. So the cause will happen now in the present, the effect will happen later in the future. Retrocausality flips this on its head. And so it says that actually what happens in the present is the effect of the cause that has happened in the future. And so we are living in the effect of the decisions that our future selves have made for us. And so I was thinking about this in an ancestral point of view, being like, does that therefore mean that what we do now affects the past?
Because that's the linear, chronologically, Gregorian ordered
Yes.
thing that we have been taught.
Yeah.
What you do now deeply affects you in the future.
Deeply affects you in the
That's it,
future.
girl.
As you're saying, what is actually happening is
Yes.
a loop.
As a loop. And because there's also other like physicists also talk about how actually time, usually when you measure time, it's like time, it's on an axis like time and space.
Yeah.
Right? Space is like back, forwards, up, down, va.
Yeah.
Right? And then time, as we know it, is usually a measurement. They also actually say, actually, maybe it's not a measurement at all. Actually, what time is a dimension.
Yeah.
And so you just have a ripple of dimensions.
And so, do you ever find, I know that this has been true for me, when I do something like that is positive for a former self, I do kind of like reassign a new narrative to what that experience really meant. You know, like
Yes.
you kind of heal it in a
Yes.
way that transmutes it retroactively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of saying, oh, well, if I hadn't have been that kind of like kiki kid, I wouldn't be here right now. So it was all worth it. It's all very Hollywood feel good.
Yeah.
But in actuality, you are hacking time to some degree
Yes.
to
Yeah,
assign
girls.
a new
Yes.
narrative,
Narrative.
On that geeky
On
girl.
that geeky girl.
Or whatever it was.
I got the whakatauki here, guys.
Let's go.
Kia whakatōmuri, te haere whakamua.
Ka mua ka muri.
That's it,
Kamua.
girlies.
Tautoko.
You guys know what it is, girl. Walking backwards in time to the front, to the future.
The concept recognizes that the past is carried with us into the future, so looking to past experiences and knowledge is essential for creating a better and more hopeful tomorrow.
That's it, honeys. Oh.
So because that proverb is very ideologically important for Māori. You've got the connection to the past, which encourages a deep understanding of history, roots, and where we come from. You've got an informative future, putting the future back into your hands.
In your hands.
The continuum of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you resonate with retrocausality?
I-
Ka muri ka mua?
Yeah, I resonate with it in terms of, I guess, if we're looking at time and then us, we were talking about how everything's a story and everything is a narrative a few weeks ago. And if we look at time and we think about the story that we're adding to time or decorating time with, I kind of think about how the way in which I have my relationship with time now, it might be a bit like egalitarian, but I'm like, yay, like the choices I'm making now are actually affecting my tupuna and they are affecting my ancestors. And there is this beautiful, timeless relationship that we are having in this retrocausality.
Yeah.
And so maybe it is that what are the choices I make now in terms of all of the decolonial practices that we do, that is actually adding and that is possibly shifting and changing the timeline of the past.
While I'm wearing
Absolutely.
this hoodie, Brown Boy Magic, they have an amazing album, Trans-Pacific Time.
Trans-Pacific time.
An absolute classic. And that album plays with retrocausality and like identities. You can correct me in the chat, Nico, if you want. But just like speaking back to former
Speaking
selves
back.
and new forms and also like, the trans
Yeah.
experience of time.
Absolutely.
What was that, girl? Honestly, I did a project a couple years ago named the Dear Great Grands, and it was curated by Arizona Ledger, who's now a crazy sports journalist, doing their thing. And funnily enough, they did the first interview ever regarding Wheke Fortress in the space here many a year ago.
That's right.
Yo!
You
Yeah,
remember?
that's right.
Yo!
That is right.
Gata.
Gata.
But I did a project with her, and the kaupapa was to write a letter to your descendants. And the final line that I wrote in that letter was like, you're going to know me in the wind and you're going to know me in the sky and blah, 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 blah. But if anything, you're going to know me in the outfits that you wear.
Period.
And I was like, look here, descendants. If you come across
This
audio,
Yeah.
this relic of a recording on an archived version of Radio New Zealand,
And you got
Yes.
and dust flies
and
off
dust
it.
flies off, you had better be wearing the cheers Vivian Westwood earrings, the cheers diesel belt, the cheers Japanese denim. You had better be decked out, girl.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. And also, if you do come across my nudes in the Ethernet, do you
Choose
know
the
what?
good ones.
Yes. You know what? You're welcome, because you will know that your ancestors were hot.
that's
Yes.
it, girls.
Yeah.
I
That's
need
it,
you to like
girls.
lay down a like treaty claim to delete all the bad nudes and only center the really good ones.
That's
Only
it.
the good ones.
Remember,
please.
your mokopuna are watching, girl, and you want them to turn a page and see you looking fab.
What would you tell your descendants if you could? I'm looking at the chat. We've got Yana who says, time is a spiral, city girl.
It is a spiral.
It is a
city.
spiral.
The spiral
It is a
emoji.
spiral,
Absolutely.
girl.
Absolutely.
Like, that's
it.
How do
it,
you
girl.
all, what do you think you would say to your muckles if you could talk to them?
What would you say to your
what would you
mokos?
say?
Me? Well, when you say you think that you are going to live on in the kakahu, in the fly kakahu of your
Yeah.
descendants, I don't want to be a cornball. Oh,
Girl, do it. Look at the final
hope-
Final
one.
episode.
I
Let's do
hope
it.
I live on in the warm and generous actions of others.
And they will, girl. And when they give. But no, girl. You know, when they're standing up at the big event and they're giving the mihi to the least recognized girl in the room and they are decked out in a beautiful pounamu and laid up in the flyest fits,
Yeah.
they're gonna feel
They're
the
gonna feel the
ihi,
ihi and be
girl.
like,
Icky.
who said that?
Girl, and they're gonna be like, oh, bitch, that's in my bloodline. On the front line, ready for war. Yeah, girl.
And I'm just thinking about how we always end up having ancestors that we discover and we rep, and they're usually kind of like the ones that you would resonate with the most. Always come across the queer girly ancestor, always come across the kind of like, outlier, outsider one. So I hope that, my kind of futurist muckles, they really rep us and they find us.
That's it. Something that was really beautiful at Miss Aotearoa Whakawahine was seeing all of our aunties, our old trans aunties. One of them, Auntie Laura, was chaperoned and brought by 3 of her mokopuna. Wow. And it made me want to cry. Oh. It made me want to cry down. And they're like, nah, yeah, auntie, what's up? She's my mom's sister. She was like, she's the one who came and took care of us. Da, 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 da. And for me, it's that thing of like, you know, the T-girls, they're often told, like, you had better brace for it now and you had better, like, set up your life to go home and take care of your mom and dad because nobody's going to take care of you. So, like, it's like, live your life while you can because once the parents are gone and once your life expectancy is up, like, you're going to be either in a rest home or you're going to die alone. And I was like, girl.
And we're all going to take care of everybody.
Or everyone. Yeah.
Me like going, nope, we're all going to take care of each other, and that's not true. That's not true.
It's not
healer's
true, but it's not
wound.
true because we saw. I got to see it last night. It wasn't
Yeah.
true.
It's not
That's
true.
it.
Yeah, debunking that right now. The future is looking prosperous, well supported. Well, I mean, the timeline's not really giving, but our intentions
That's it.
are pretty strong.
Yeah.
But you actually had a kōrero. You wanted to talk about Lovecraft.
Honey, look,
On.
time is a spiral.
Yes.
Time is, ambiguous. It's ambivalent. But honey, let's be real. Time is an eldritch monster. To sit there and bear witness and be at the coalface of time is to witness the dissolving of your lifetimes across millennia, across different forms, different bodies. The horror, girl. The terror of that. You know,
But also you don't
Absolutely.
really escape thematics and curriculums. I think you
No.
always kind of
No.
like come back. We will go through some big experience and it will have major shades of another big experience
another
we've had.
experience.
And it's like, why does this feel like a trilogy, you know?
Yes,
And that's why it
absolutely.
feels so Lovecraftian to me, because I'm just like, I cannot fathom the amount of lifetimes, timelines, alternate lives, or alternate versions of me this is having rippling effects on.
Absolutely.
I just cannot fathom. And honey, you know, when I was 2 years old, I was shipped off to Hawaii. When I was 4, I was shipped off to Tonga. When I was like 12, I was living with like my dying great-great-grandfather, and we were like oiling his fucking nearly deceased scalp and stuff every single night. Multiple like lines of existence have diverged from that point.
Yeah.
And to think even the mahi that we're doing right now, talking into these microphones is having ripple effects into these multiversal existences.
Because you and me did a little rough DIY version of this in
Girl.
2019.
And it was terrifying, girl. And you know what, girlies? On that podcast, I was saying crazy shit. I was up on that podcast being like, capitalism is the modern god, and you know, and like.
But you know what? Heaps of stuff we said came true
Came
as
true.
well.
That's it, girl. Talk
Some of it
about
was
time.
so cold-blooded we couldn't put the
We couldn't put
episode
the
out
episode out.
because we got the chills and the
got
toops
chills.
rolled us.
And
so.
what's funny is that the versions of us who are sitting here talking now were the girlies, or this transmission was what that version of us in 2019 was getting. And so back to causality and
Latamai in the chat says, time is us watching the flower in the vase die each episode. So we're going for a rustic dried flower flow.
Yeah, girl.
For our finale. I was thinking about time in terms of how it relates to me and just like a base level, everyday kind of experience. And I remember when people talk about island time all the time, and they usually are doing it when they're being shady because somebody is half an hour late and they're bringing the kind of like cutlery to the function and everyone's big mad at them and they're like, island time, huh? But I'm talking about it on that kind of cosmic level.
Yeah.
And I believe we all don't realize that we have the ability to bend time. I think Indigenous people, they are completely, obviously capitalism, colonialism, all of these things are disrupting, corrupting, distracting us from this modality. But I believe we've all got access to a tool in which we need to remember we are not on that clock.
Yeah.
As I think it's about cosmic weight, you know, because if we're thinking about kind of time and space as kind of interlocking things that create the fabric of our reality, it's all about how you bear weight on the reality in and around you. And a lot of that has to do with spiritual potency, I reckon.
Yeah, and how that spark flickers in that moment.
Because
Just going to break the fourth wall for a moment and ask Esther, do you remember that post where it was about a Fijian person back in the day, and they were talking about how they came to, was it like Australia or England or something, and they said that white time, they just saw people worshipping the clock.
Yes, girl.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
this colonial perception when these old researchers back in the day, the anthropologists are going and like viewing island life, they're seeing laziness when it's all actually in connection with the rhythms of the land and the rhythms of the community.
And the luminaries and
the
celestial
luminaries.
bodies.
And then they would go to like into like the hub of empire, and they would be like, why is everybody just forcing themselves into these rhythms that are not actually in
Conducive.
line, conducive or natural?
Or natural. That's
Sustainable.
Or sustainable.
Harmonious.
And I'm just like, no wonder why all of y'all were getting fucking skin cancer. Girl, our people knew to be up at 5 o'clock and get everything done before 9 so that they would be back inside before fucking 12 so that they weren't getting scolded. Like,
I remember I was at the airport, and I remember I was watching the kind of like board being like, and I was late. I was really like, and it was like a flight halfway across the world. And it was kind of like, if I don't make this flight, you know, the coming days are going to be really, really bad for me. And I just remember locking in. I remember I had been thinking about time in this way for a while, but I remember just kind of going, okay. And I did the counterintuitive thing, and I acted like I had all the time in the world. I acted like I was there 5 hours early, and I moved slow. I talked to people. I made conversation with people like, nah, let's get into it. Me and this little old lady, we're talking about where'd you get your shoes from, ha ha, hee hee. And in actuality, like, you know, I'm moving through the custom line, you know, like silk, but it was pretty clogged up. And I remember getting to the, like, boarding gate with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah, girl.
And I still don't know how I did it, but yeah, I think people don't realize they have, like, time is a breathing, organic
Thing
thing that you can
work
collaborate with.
You have a million years always.
Yep, colonial lens has got us thinking it's something you must subjugate, you must control, you must measure in that way. I'm not saying that like maths isn't real, it's sacred, it's timeless. But I'm saying that particular thing, that is as real, like we have a different relationship. That's what I'm meaning to say.
I think like the closest thing I can kind of visualize in my mind that has remnants of like a clock is the kapehu whetū, or the star compass, which we use to navigate when we are on the waka, and all of that. So the star compass, so you know when like Moana's like, so let's lock in. Okay, so this isn't a random measurement. When you put your hand out here, so your shoulders to your right ear, and you kind of stretch your index finger and your thumb, that is approximately 11.25 degrees.
Period.
This makes up one whare of a quadrant of the star compass, and each whare has a dedicated star. So if a star rises in a certain whare, is going to set in the opposite whare. All of this explains our relationship with the luminaries, our relationship with the planets, our relationship with the stars, and which also tells us our relationship with time. When you're on the waka as well, it's the sensation isn't that you are moving on the water, but it's actually that you are still, and the universe and cosmos is moving and working around you. And so the sensation is actually that we're standing still like Jill. I love that song. Such a good song. So we're just standing still. Am I standing still beneath the dark? So we're just standing still, and everything is moving around us.
You know how you were talking about those ripples and like time, girl, I'm not trying to get up all fucking scientific up in here, bitch, because I'm going to be hell around. But you know, the idea of like the scope of light being all of time we can perceive.
Yes.
Kind of the darkness in around that cone being like time innumerable, stretching back in time and like forward in time, and us not really knowing any other point of time but the time that we're standing in at that present moment. Does that not feel like that when you're measuring the stars and stuff, and you're trying to measure these quadrants?
It does be.
And you're just trying to hone in on a piece of time. But also, my thing with it is like, girl, at the olden day, people had like gods dedicated to time.
Yeah.
It only proves that this was something that you could bargain with, or that you could make offerings to have things bend and shift and turn in your favor, all of that type of stuff. Yeah. And also, girlie, like, what do you think is happening when you're in flow state?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Whoa.
I got into flow state really young. I just randomly, when I was a teenager, got a book called Flow. I believe they're a Russian author, but they were one of the first big researchers to talk about flow state. When you kind of just everything drops away and you are doing exactly what you were put here to do. And it's just a different rhythm, the way you interact with time. You're just like, you're in your skill set, your cosmic skill set.
And I think that's what I mean when I say cosmic weight. When you're in flow, you are like a direct like conduit to something kind of bigger than you, right? And I always interpret that as like, you become far heavier of a spiritual vessel. I think about how like in like the Tongan ancient times, when the Taula or the priests and stuff would ready their vessels to receive the energy of a god, they would have to eat twice the amount of food to satiate the god that is going to enter them. And I think about that cosmic weight all the time, like in relation to time. And
I'm reminded of the healers wānanga that we went to, and where the assignment was quite literally to eat and sleep. That was and literally, and we were told like eat up because you need to feed and you need to ground.
That's all we
prepare.
did for like a whole day. We'd have a massive feed, have a quick chat,
A little quick chat.
and then she'd be like, get back to work, aka go back to sleep.
go to sleep.
And we would just crash out. We would have the trippiest dreams.
And girl, and the food does that, girl. I know that you guys have had those crazy cheese dreams or those crazy apples,
Or the
like
banana
apple drink
dreams.
dreams and stuff like that.
We've got Bridge in the chat, Kia ora Bridge.
Hey, honey.
Hey.
They say you measure holes in kōawau by lining up the knuckles on your fingers, lined up like you were saying before, and people always lose time listening and playing kōawau.
Period.
That's like all of those modalities, like flow state, and
Hold on. Even like understandings of VAR. You know, the academic girlies love talking about the VAR.
The
VAR, boom.
Cold Pacific greeting.
You got
Cold
that
Pacific greeting.
boom.
You love to industrialize the meaning of the VAR.
Of the VAR. There is VAR, boom. There's one understanding of the VAR which I will indulge in, and that is that. So we understand VAR as space, but there's
And
also
relational
and
space.
relational space. There's also an understanding of VAR as space-time. So
Yes.
which talks to our relationship with space, but also our relationship with time, and how VAR transcends both space and time, as well as describes the relationality between space-time and relationality with the self and the collective self.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Girl.
VAR.
Litia. Kia ora, Litia.
Kia ora,
In the
Litia.
chat, they say Falesa's explanation of waka navigation reminds me of Toni Morrison's quote, I stood at the border, stood at the edge, and claimed it as central, and let the rest of the world move over to where I was.
Period. And that's it, honey. Decenter white time. Bring it back to you.
Yes.
And maybe it won't be the eldritch nightmare that we're forced to endure.
Get it? And I feel like it's connected to us as a part of nature. Get
As
into
a
the
part of
rhythms of
nature.
body, get into the rhythms of
Yes. 'Cause it
community.
feels
And
right.
It feels right. And
whānau.
also there's that whole thing, right? And you know, you guys are going to have to like go out and fact check me, but isn't there that thing that like the kind of Pākehā time system is based around kind of male performance and completely disregards like a woman's like
Absolutely.
Yeah, girl.
That shit phallic as hell.
Yeah, girl.
It's just like, you know, everything kind of like going to this point
Yeah.
as opposed to the other option, which is like a fluid kind of like self-cannibalizing thing.
Which connects the erotic.
That's it.
Because one wants to nut real quick, and one wants to enjoy the journey.
The other one wants to
and
enjoy
you know, and it ties into productivity, and it's like, well, it's what's productive is like
Big
how many
Ben just
times
wants the nut. Like,
you
get
can
over
come,
Yeah.
like per second, but it's like no. But what about the quality of the nut?
Quality of
Like,
the nut.
not the quantity of the nut, girl. The quality of the nut, girl. If I were to sit here and watch a 3-minute like Twitter video and bust a nut in a second, girl, I would not be satisfied. But if I sat there and read a tender, sweet, erotic smut that completely fizzled out my brains, and I transcendental nut, girl. And on that note, like, I think that, like, you know, I even think about like sleep and how like structured sleep is and the myth of like you need your 8 hours. No, you don't.
Myth busted tonight.
And also historically, before, the Industrial Revolution, people had 2 sleep cycles where they slept from like 6 to 9 and then they woke up or like flipped to
It was really good. They would like kind of stay up really late.
Stay up really late and then go to sleep and
Go
then
to
like
sleep in the wee hours and then get up really early morning and have a big
and
siesta.
then have
It's that. It's just so. Yeah, even like the Gregorian calendar is so out of whack. Like
So out of
even in
whack.
terms of the celebrations, like so out of whack. Like we're
So out of whack.
we kind of like we admire and worship like the Northern Hemisphere and completely ignore like our beautiful timeline here. Like we actually see more stars in the Southern Hemisphere.
We see way
We
more
see
stars,
more stars
girl.
here.
And also, like, I'm so tired of the Northern Hemisphere jacking up our time systems. Like, no. Like, if you're gonna force me to celebrate, like, Yule,
Yeah.
You need to get Oceanique.
you need to
Oceanic
get
with it.
Oceanic. And if you guys are gonna force us to celebrate Yule out here in the South, at least let us, like, celebrate it in July, girl.
Yeah.
Like,
We have
that makes
festivals in the chat saying the whole myth of the colonial work week being focused around white male body rhythms. La la la.
Yeah.
What a joke.
that's it, girl.
Yeah, real.
Honestly.
And
it is a
everybody
trip.
just pretty much affirming your relationship with smut and time.
Honey, honestly, like our people were having good sex when they weren't
sex.
slaves to time.
And we have Danae here who is agreeing with our comments about the industrialization and questionable use of the term va in our communities,
Girl.
saying
Absolutely.
if it's not the va, it's talanoa.
Talanoa.
Girl, talanoa, girl. And let's get into it because like
Let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it.
because like talanoa, or at least if you were to break it down in Tongan, like tala means to say something. Noa means like of little interest, kind of like frivolous, nothing. It's
Well,
there.
yeah, I was thinking about, Rio as well, and how there was a bit of discourse like a few years ago with how everyone says what's the time, he aha te wā, and that some, linguists were saying you're kind of saying what is the time in the cosmic sense. You're not saying like 3
What's the
o'clock.
time?
You're pretty much saying,
What's
"Bruh,
time?
what's the meaning of it all? What's the... But then it's so kind of ingrained in te reo and how people ask for the time that people, it's like something people discuss.
Yeah. Like it's interesting. Like whenever like we're having like really in Tongan we use the word ifo. Ifo means yummy, but you use it to describe anything that's like really good. Whenever we're just like describing having like an ifo talanoa, we use words that usually associate the night. So we would say things like "Hawe ko ifo pito au po talanoa, au po lave, au po like," and I don't know if there's anything because nobody knows what the fuck is going on, but like usually this idea of having really enriching conversations are tied to the night.
To the night.
Yes, that's the kind of domain of the good kōrero.
The
Absolutely.
domain, the open fire, the kava, the nighttime.
But there's also, I've heard the interpretation of talanoa being the untying of knots.
Oh,
So the
period.
Yeah, so you're untying
Yes.
the knots. And I think, about how that in conversations we are untying the knots, but I also think sometimes in talanoa people just like throwing knots.
Sissy.
Like there's no intention to actually untie the
Untie
knots
the
together.
knots,
Like we're supposed to
girl.
untie the knots here. Like, and we're not supposed to be like doing like more knots here. And also, and I feel like I'm always bring it back to waka, but on the waka you're always tying damn knots. And you are untying knots. And you need to talanoa, you need to untie those knots if you actually want to sail anywhere. Like you have to do it. You just got to do it.
But also the tying of knots on the waka is necessary and consensual.
And consensual.
And when you get roped into nasty talanoa that ties the knot without your consent, it's not talanoa, It's war.
War.
It's war, honey.
Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity to do this. Thank you for everybody who stuck along for the ride. And it's rough out there, girls, but we will make it through.
Yeah.
We will prevail.
We will prevail. Yeah.
Thank you so
Aroha mai.
much for. Thank you so much for choosing to tune in. For witnessing us. Thank you everyone who has, all the whakitentis who have made this happen. And also just, thank you both. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Mama. I feel so blessed to be sitting just like right in the middle of y'all. And so, I feel very mawhana. Love y'all down.
Remy. I also want to mihi to Remy.
Mehi to Remy.
Thank you, Remy.
Just our overlord, our producer, our visionary, everything, like how this operates, that was all Remy's design. They taught us
That's it.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Rev TV is really like a collective, baby, but mega mind. I want to mihi to Esther and Mary and Isha, Latamai, Sione and Luca. I want to mihi to our sound engineer, Tukaro. All of the Wheke Fortress family for supporting and putting up with this for 6 weeks
That's
in the
it.
space. Love y'all.
Already
We have the room back after
That's
this.
it.
Want to
Yeah.
mihi to Yana, Tenahu Owen and Rosabel Tam for all of your tautoko while we got this off the ground.
Period.
And the chat, like all of our whānau and friends, all the supporters, all the people reposting on social media, just the general supporters and the contributors to these episodes too. People giving us kōrero and so generously sharing all of their knowledge so that we could transmit that too. It's been 6 episodes of traversing the erotic, live, love, land back, hyperfixation, pick a mix, multi-motu linguistic mechanics, crashing in and crashing out. We started crashing in on the episode 1 and now we're just good old-fashioned crashing out. So it feels good. Hoia no. Mauri ora, ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. See ya! Apa nei!
Orators Anonymous was made with Pūtau Tautoko from Creative New Zealand, New Zealand On Air, and the RNZ Arts and Culture Podcast Co-Fund. The creative director is Coco Solid, the producer is Esther Lelua, the assistant producer is Mary Adios-san, the producer/Twitch producer is Remy Shavinke, the hosts are Fuima Ono Tuema Fuiva Falese Taua Mush Lesefo, Manu Vaya, and Coco Solid. Sound design, composition and editing, Tokero Teokotai Brown. Ngā mihi to strategic advisors Rosabel Tan and Yana Tenahu Owen, and the RNZ podcast teams Justin Gregory. Follow and listen to Orators Anonymous wherever you get your podcasts.